sunlight hurts my eyes. Something without wanting love weighs heavy on my mind. Then I look at you, and the world alright with me. Just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day.
So, good afternoon and welcome back to FET Fest. Actually, hang on there, we'll sort out my sound. So, welcome back to FET Fest. Apologies there for that sound issue. So, we are joined by Miss Karen Burke and Stephen Eustace, the wonderful team from Microsoft Education. Something going on. That should be better. So apologies there for some tech issues. So again, we are joined by Miss Karen Burke and the wonderful Stephen Eustace from Microsoft Ireland. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here to share your wonderful TEL tips with us as part of TEL Tuesday for FET Fest. So whenever you're ready, Stephen, will we get this show on the road?
Yeah, absolutely. Great to be here. And Karen's going to take us off from the start. So thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks so much. And welcome to a wonderful TEL Tuesday. And again, just to say thank you for arranging all of this and hosting this. It's amazing to see, and it's great to see. So you're joined today by myself and Stephen Eustace, and we are both, I suppose, educators. If you haven't come across us before, and you can find me on Twitter at MissKBurke1. And if you are looking for any support or anything, feel free to always reach out there, and hopefully I'll be able to help you with it. And thank you again for that. If you're looking to contact, I suppose, us directly, you can always reach out to us an email at mseduirl@Microsoft, just for yourselves, just I suppose as another point of contact. But it's going to be a fast-paced session on all these amazing tips that hopefully you can come away with today. And I suppose I'm going to briefly launch straight into tip number 1, and that is very much about when we create these amazing asynchronous videos, how we can make them highly interactive and engaging with Microsoft Stream and Forms. So I've jumped up, I'm going to pop over here to, I'm going to pop this up here, even though it's, and just kind of showcase this to you. So here I am in Microsoft Office 365. I'm going to pop into Stream. And for those of you that may not be, I suppose, as aware of Stream, Stream is a great video making website. I've used this all the time when I've been creating video resources for my students. And the really nice thing is I was trying to figure out were they watching them or not. So the trick was to pop in a little video just to see if they were actually watching my video. So I'm going to quickly create a video, and I'm just going to record my screen here. And you'll see there's a 15-minute limit, but don't worry. Don't worry, I'm not going to be keeping you here that long. And you can record your screen and your camera. You have various different options, and I'm just going to turn the camera off, and I am going to record my screen. And you'll see here that you get different options about what you actually share. So I'm just going to record this screen just to showcase this to you now. And you'll see that you can, I have my PowerPoint open here, and if I want to just go file, whatever, I'm after recording on the wrong screen, I think, but that's okay. And I'm just going to hit pause and stop. After doing that one again, I'm after hitting record screen. So at this point here, I'm just going to stop sharing, and you'll see here that I've made this little video, and I'm going to upload it to Stream. And I'm just going to call it test. And I can include my description, etc. And I can just hit publish. So as I said, I was recording my little videos and I wanted to see if my students were watching it, but I had, I suppose, no ability to track that. So in a couple of seconds, this will be published, and I just want to showcase how easy it is to pop a little Microsoft form in there so that you can either track how they get on with their knowledge and if they were, if they're able to understand what you're going through in the video, or secondly, in my case, I was wondering were they watching the video. So this takes just a few seconds to process, and you'll see it here. Don't worry, not going to watch this again, but you can see here I can quickly add a form. So if I open up my Office 365 again, I'm just going to briefly copy over one form. For example, this one here, just any which one that I've made previously, and I can insert directly into the video. I can actually pick where that video, or can pop when it'll come up in the video. So I've gone to share and I've just hit copy. If I go back here, then you can see I can paste in my URL, or I could have picked my name from the form, and you can see here equally I can move the slider as to when I want that video to pop up. So I'm going to pop it here and add it to I'm just going to add it in here and then add it to the timeline. So the beauty of this, and I would have used this last year, is when my students were then watching the video, you'll see that in this case, I've already clicked on this one, so it's getting confused, but the response would actually pop up, or the form would pop up here, and they would select the responses and then continue to the video. So in that sense, I got the information as to how they were getting on with, I suppose, the knowledge of the information from the video, and equally I knew that they were watching it. And you can actually add multiple forms, as you can see here. And you might just want to practice different elements at different times, and you can easily add in multiple ones if you want, using that same method. So that is my tip number 1, and I found it very powerful last year in terms of when I was teaching in this kind of semi-remote environment, or even before that when I just wanted to see, I suppose, how they were getting on, and especially if you're looking at, maybe incorporating elements of the flipped classroom into your teaching, it gives you, I suppose, the knowledge about how they've got on with it, as opposed to taking their word for it. The second tip I just want to showcase to you is that you can screen record in, I suppose, a number of different apps. So you've seen me there use a Microsoft Stream to record, and you'll see you've got 15 minutes to do so, or equally you can screen record in Flipgrid also. And I suppose the other one then, just to showcase, is if you are using lots of PowerPoints and different elements like that, you can also screen record in your you can also screen record in PowerPoint. And just to show this to you here, you can see that when you've got your PowerPoint, you'll have all these various different options, but you can see you go into slideshow and you can record this from your current slide or from the beginning, depending upon it. And again, this is something that I would have used in my teaching and learning, just to create, I suppose, different videos for my students. And then simply at the end, I can export it as a video. So create a video. Again, I can cater this down to whether I want it to be full HD, which I never really did because I figured they were watching it on a phone or something. So I probably make it more the standard HD or just the standard one. But again, using these various options, it was great for my students in terms of creating videos that would support them, that would help them revise. But equally, I suppose it's moving it to that flipped classroom scenario where I could do some of the pre-teaching at home and then concentrate on, I suppose, the higher order stuff in class. So I could kind of concentrate on using the information, if you get what I mean. So there are kind of 2 of my tips, and I suppose this might be indicative of what this will be like, as in it's a fairly lively session today. And my other tip for today is if you haven't seen PowerPoint Coach and you have students that are practicing, if you have students who are practicing oral presentations, or even for yourself, if you're looking to practice a presentation before you begin, I suppose, just to showcase to you that PowerPoint Coach can be a real amazing, different option for you. So I'm going to pop open one that I've made earlier on moons, seasons and tides. And you know, you're saying, well, how can I actually practice what this will be like if this was me as a teacher teaching it for the first time, or if my students were having to give a presentation? You're like, well, how can they actually, you know, practice these skills, give them the confidence that they can come into class if they were there physically and give a presentation in front of everyone, or equally if they are going to be given a presentation over an online call, because for some of our students that can be quite, I suppose, difficult or intimidating. So if you'll see here, I'm in PowerPoint Online. I have dropped down here and you'll see Present with Coach. And what you'll see here is I have to allow this to use my microphone and I can start rehearsing. And it is going to track my presentation as I go. And the Earth has one moon that revolves around the Earth. It is a satellite of the Earth. So here you can see it's popping in, telling me that I've used too many fillers. And if you just read the slides, it will tell you, again, too many fillers. When you look upon the night sky, you will see the moon the way that the moon changes during the month. We say that the phases of the moon are a cycle in nature, and it will track all different things. And at the end of this, what you're actually going to see is a little report, and this will reflect upon, I suppose, your presentation, and I suppose for your students, what their presentation skills are like. It will actually also, there's some AI built into it, and if they're simply reading the slides, it will actually tell them. And so here you can see that my pitch isn't great because it's telling me I need to vary it, which again is good for our students when they're looking to, I suppose, maintain interest in their classes as well. See, now I did good. So here at the end, you'll see, you'll get this rehearsing, information. So you can see the time spent, which for some of my students, when I'd be asking them to, you know, create a 5-minute presentation, they had it done in 2 minutes. So they had no concept of how long something was taking. So this was great, or this can be great for giving them that. It gives them the time. It lets them see that they've been rehearsing. You can see here then that I used too many ums. It tracks if I was inclusive, my language is nice and repetitive. You can see here when I went down monotone with a really low pitch voice. So you can see that, you know, there are times that I need to vary my pitch just to keep it. So for some students, it can be great. It can be great for them to practice. And even here, you'll see that I use the phrase, it will actually tell, and I could just change that to it could tell them. So like when you look at the amount of information your students are going to get from that, it is pretty amazing. And the other trick here is this one now. If you've seen it, you can. So you will get the option to equally rehearse with body language, but this is going to cause an issue purely because I have my camera on here. So I can try it. And you can see here that if I present with Coach, this will work. It's going to allow me to use my camera. It will actually track where I am, which is terrifying, but it will tell me if I'm too close to the screen. So if your students are doing lots of presentations like this and they're using, if they're using calls or online calls to do their presentations, for them it might be vital that they're getting some information about how they're presenting themselves on cameras. Or equally, if they're having to prepare for job interviews and, you know, they're going to be doing them interviews over an online call also, it's great to give them that, you know, feedback and peace of mind that you can actually you can actually practice how you can sit and make sure that you're highly visible throughout your call, that your body language is going to be correct. So I would say that is not only a top tip for your teaching and learning, it's a top tip for your students to maybe use as well, because it can help give them the skills that they might need, not only in class, but also, you know, further down the line. Top tip 4, hopefully you're taking away something from this, is all the different things that you can do in Edge. And I suppose you probably know from a number of us here today how much we love the Immersive Reader, and I suppose how powerful it can be to support our students with diverse learner needs. Here on the image, you'll kind of just get to see though that, you know, if you're using it in a specific app like OneNote, just to be aware that, like, you can see here now that it is present in a multitude of different applications, and it's on a different environments. Where I found this, I suppose, great was when my students might be doing some research. So I'm a science teacher. So I'm just going to pop in here to one that I used to ask my students to do some research in. And I think we're all fairly familiar with when our students might be looking up stuff, there's as many distractions on a page as there is information. And if you have some students that are perhaps struggling to stay focused, or, you know, some students who, you know, can quite easily click on the wrong thing and all of a sudden they're off reading a completely different story, there's this great button in the Edge browser, and you'll see it here. It's book and the speaker. It's just on that URL line, and if they do nothing in terms of the read aloud, but what you'll notice here is it's cleared all the ads, it's cleared all the outward links from it. So for my students, this was a great way of just keeping them on track and keeping them focused on the specific article that they were, which they were using. You still have the options for
the pebbled path to planets. Astronomers are turning to dust and little rocks to figure out how planets.
And again, if you had been, you know, in the habit of, I had definitely been doing this, copying stuff into the likes of OneNote and getting the Immersive Reader to functionality to be used there. Well, actually now you use an Edge, you can use this in numerous different websites, and you still get all the nice features in terms of controlling your text size, the spacing. You'll see here that I've changed to that beigey color, and equally I can do the parts of speech and the syllables, as well as the translation features. So I'm translating this entire thing to French, and I can hit the read aloud.
Le chemin caillouteux vers les planètes.
And using that. So again, using the Edge browser, you've got that ability to support a number of different students in a number of different ways, all using that. And for me, sometimes it's physically telling them, will you open this in Edge? Will you hit that button there and see what it's done? And you can have a bit of fun with it in terms of, I suppose, highlighting the different cultures in our classrooms and the different ability to read different languages, which is nice also. Another couple of things I want to point out is if your students are engaged with some research, again, you have that ability to form collections in Edge. So you can create a collection here. No, thanks for that. And you can start a new collection, and, you know, you might want, I'm just going to call this planets. It's about the planets. And they can use this to collect a number of different websites into their collection. And so that if they're having to do some research, that they can spend some time collating their different sources, and then because they're on this one central place, they can continually go back and refer to them, especially if they're having to look at, you know, how reliable they are, or they're coming back to see how one interacts with another. I used to have all my students putting loads of references and sources at the bottom of pages, but this very much keeps it organized, and you can see you can add numerous different collections for numerous different projects you might be doing. The other thing as well in Edge, which is nice, is I've put a PDF here just to practice, or just to showcase this to you. In Edge, you can see here I can draw. So I can draw. Now, forgive me. I can draw, I can highlight, I can do all these different things in Edge. And equally at the end of the day, I can save or save as. So this is where I'm kind of talking about how if you're using something like the Edge browser, you may be able to again use a number of different features in it, but you might just explicitly have to tell your students, why don't you try opening it in Edge, and then you get the ability to translate, read aloud, annotate your PDFs, create your collections, all in this one central area. And again, it's a little bit easier for me as a teacher because, you know, I'm telling them to do things once as opposed to do things multiple different times, if that's okay. So that's my top tip 4. My other top tips is I love OneNote, and I think if you've been using OneNote for a while, you're like, it is so versatile. And one of my favorite things to do is leave audio feedback for my students. And it's because they really like that conversation, especially when I was involved with distance learning last year. It was more like what we would have in the classroom where, you know, you'd pop down beside them and give them some instant feedback. What I used to find then is sometimes they'd miss it. To be honest, they just wouldn't see it. You might say it to them, you know, did you see the feedback that I've given? And they might say, yeah, but equally sometimes they would say no. And then I would have some students where, you know, written instructions was more difficult for them. And again, how could I support them? So if you start color coding your audio notes, this can become very easy for students to visually recognize. And I've put an example up here, and it's just that if I'm given an instruction for a task, I highlight it yellow. If I am giving feedback, I'll highlight it green. And this might be something that can grow and change over time, but it's, you know, it's given that clear understanding for them that if you see that cell with yellow beside an audio note, that's going to be an instruction for how to complete that task. And it's so easy to do. And forgive me if this is a fast pace, if this is quite fast paced, but I'm trying to, you know, showcase as many features all at once. So all I did for this is simply insert to table. So to show the two, if I was only, you know, given feedback or instructions, I would just, in this case, you know, I'm in OneNote, I've put in feedback in a cell or in a table, highlighted it green because green is my feedback color. If I want to make it, you know, bigger, I can, so I can change that to, you know, 18, just so that it's more visually obvious. And then I can go insert and leave my audio note. And here I can give my student the feedback that they need for their task. And I'm just going to hit stop, but you can see how, you know, it's very easy for my student then to come in and say, oh, I feedback here for this piece of work. But equally then, if it was a task that I wanted to give some students some audio instructions as well as some written instructions, if I use this color coding system, and these are the two that I've come up with, so feel free that if you've got another good tip to pop it in the chat there and share with other people, you know, if you're using instructions, feedback, even if you wanted your students to give their own feedback, their response to your feedback, you could give them that purple color code or something like that. And again, it's really easy for me to visually see, oh, there's purple there. That means my student responded to my comment, and that conversation can continue and continue. But definitely this is something that, even if it's just using its own and you're popping in that table, it can be a little bit easier for students to spot it. But equally, if you want to use audio notes in different avenues, giving them that color coding so they can easily see, you know, if a task has instructions, if their task has been given feedback, it's kind of nice for them. Well, I think it's nice for them just to see it. And then my other tip is, I'm really passionate about the use of professional development and how much that I can, I suppose, grow in my own teaching and learning. And I used to find that often, you know, often yourself, you're busy, you're engaged with loads of different courses and you have all these handouts, but you're not actually taking that opportunity maybe to see how, you know, you can utilize this in your own teaching and learning, for example, or something like that, or and while you might speak about it at one point, equally you mightn't be taking that opportunity to go, well, did I use it and have I reflected upon it, and, you know, will I use it again? So what I've done here is here I've created this. It's just this. I made a OneNote page, and in it I have a date I did a course. Now this is an online course, so I just popped the link in there. I might put in sort of my key points or my information from the course. And what I've done then is, how could I use this in my teaching and learning? And you can see in this one, I could use a form to measure prior knowledge. I can create an exit ticket, and I might just put one here. Formative assessment. And then the idea was, and you'll see that I've the little to-do boxes turned on. And the reason I put this in is, you know, if I want to actually use it, it's great to go, well, did I make an exit ticket? And I'll tick it, and then I've tried it. And then I might reflect it and I'll say, you know, this didn't work the way I had planned in class. This might be something that I would use maybe for them to do as a homework, that this works better in my classroom. But you're seeing, you know, like how I've used it in my actual classroom, and then your reflection upon your usage, and your CPD can become, I suppose, really live and dynamic, and, you know, it's real in every classroom. And then you'll see, you know, if you've attended 10 courses and you've had 3 takeaways from each course, that's 30 new things that you can take to your teaching and learning, and you're reflecting upon them and seeing if they worked, seeing if they didn't, or equally, what would I change the next time? And you just have this really, I suppose, live and document that you can work with and use to develop your teaching and learning. But they are my 6 tips you'll be happy to hear, and I am going to hand over now to my colleague Stephen Eustace.
Thanks a million, Karen. Awesome tips. Tough to follow, I think, but I will try nonetheless. So yeah, I'm going to start to share screen in a moment. Look, hopefully, as I said, you know, Karen said there, hopefully you take tips from, you know, each course or each engagement you do. Hopefully you're going to take a lot from these ones as well with us. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to, one tip, include computer sound. Even if you don't need it, have it included so that you might need it if you want it, or have it if you want it. Right, okay, I'm going to share screen away and let's go. Let's jump into this magic here. Let's just less of the talking and more of the doing, isn't that it? I'm actually going to show you one thing before I jump onto this. It's maybe just an accessibility tip, but again, it's kind of baked into maybe what we do anyway, or could be good to do. So I'm going to be in PowerPoint. I'm going to click slideshow, and then I'm going to click always use subtitles, and then I'm going to choose a language. So it just shows you here that there's many different languages that you can choose from. For this one here, I'm going to choose English, and then I'm going to start away. I guess before we get started with my presentation piece, I just put up 3 pictures that kind of, to be honest with you, as I was thinking about this session, resonated with me. So it meant a lot to me. The first one really for me is kind of your why. Why is it that you're doing what you're doing? You know, why are you doing what you're doing in the classroom, outside of the classroom? Literally, what's your why? What's your why in your own teaching, in your own learning, in your digital transformation? That's one thing for me that really is important. Just why are you doing what you're doing? What are you trying to achieve? The other one in the middle, I suppose, is I like the owl picture. I'm going to just be honest with you. And kind of as owls go, you know, who. So like who's involved? You're involved, others involved, students, teachers, leaders, all kind of educational stakeholders. And then kind of the third picture here for me is this notion of a North Star. So kind of where do you want to go? What does your end goal look like? Or maybe what does one of your milestones look like? So I guess that's kind of key as well. So why are you doing what you're doing? You know, who's involved? And I guess then where do you want to go? And I suppose with that, you know, how are you going to get there? What kind of tools are you going to have at your disposal to get there? So just some things to think about and to kind of underscore what I'm going to talk about next. I think I just want to set the scene for a small moment. if that's okay. And I had popped into the chat the link to this Education Reimagined. So we're going to be talking top TEL tips, some wonderful tips, but we're also just going to be taking a pause for a moment and just looking at why we're doing what we're doing, what's the research saying, and what's happening around us. So just being very aware of that. So look, the key thing is the following, and I had shortened this down even, you know, as I kind of keep presenting this, but long story short, with what's happened with COVID-19, we have an opportunity to transform education. Simple as that. You know, there's challenges, there are complexities, but there's also many, many, many opportunities to really do something amazing. And then I think the big thing for me that kind of resonates with the second point is this. Technology has a critical role to play, and it has played a critical role. So it's kept students, teachers, stakeholders in education connected, engaged, and motivated. So I would say if one kind of tip came from this, I would say just have a little look, have a little read of this, grab yourself a coffee and jump into Education Reimagined, the Future of Learning. It's a nice position paper. And then kind of really setting the scene as well. Going back to that why, the who, and then your North Star and how to get there. What are you trying to achieve? So from many pieces of research, personalization is one of the most effective means for accelerating academic and cognitive growth. So it's kind of this quest for me as a teacher to personalize learning, because it is accelerating academic and cognitive growth. There is a tangible outcome from it. And I think the key from the research here, which is just this second and last piece of research that I'm going to draw upon, it's called the Class of 2030 in Life Ready Learning. And one of the real kind of pieces in this that resonated with me was the following. Students want to be creative, and they believe they learn more when they have greater voice, choice, and receive personalized feedback. And to be honest with you, it's that belief, you know, that, you know, through greater agency, they'll do better. So this is a lovely piece of research that I definitely would advise you to jump into and have a little look at for sure. So again, you might take a couple of little things from it and then bring them into your practice as, you know, a learner, a teacher, a leader, or all of the above. Right, so I guess jumping into the tips for the moment, we're kind of going in order. I believe we're on tip 7 here. And for me, it would be around making lessons more wonderful with OneNote. And then I guess I have some, you know, just bullet points here. Number 1 bullet is kind of making content more engaging. I would kind of qualify that by saying as well, more engaging, more inclusive, more immersive, more accessible, but kind of, if and when possible, more wonderful just means all of the above together at the same time. Again, that it's very easy and the technology almost fades into the background for when we're doing that. Second point, I'm going to look at just, I guess for me, look, always a maths teacher, I'm going to be bringing maths to life, or that's the hope anyway. And I'll just show you a few little things like replay or audio. So what I'm going to do is come off sharing the PowerPoint for a moment, keep sharing the screen, of course, but then just, I'm going to hopefully make content more engaging in OneNote for you. So let's have a little look at this. So I'm going to go into a section in OneNote. So this is a class notebook. I've created a section here called FET in the content library, and this can just be called lesson 1 as I want it to be. Okay, so let's make it more engaging. The first thing that I'm going to do, I suppose, to start with anyway, is to maybe just give it more prominence on the screen. Now, what kind of media do I want to bring in? Well, let's say it was a lesson on polar bears. It's usually polar bears or unicorns or some of the above. So I'm going to insert pictures. I could bring in a picture from my computer, from the camera, or I could indeed bring in a picture from the internet itself. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get a nice picture of a polar bear. Hopefully a cute one. Yeah, there you go. That's nice. Couple of polar bears. So clicking on that image there. So straight away I'm bringing in images from the internet. I'm using Bing here to bring it in OneNote. Now, what else is possible to do? Well, right now, if I want to, I can just reach to the screen. I'm using my Surface here. Grab a pen, and I can do things like maybe highlight and picture for a moment. I guess it's picture you're in my class. Probably not the worst thing in the world to picture, maybe, right? So you're in my class and we're talking about polar bears, and maybe I'm highlighting, you know, features of polar bears that we want to discuss, or maybe I'm talking about the habitat that they're in. Now, I'm not a geography expert, nor am I an expert of polar bears, but for me, certainly, this would allow me to make lessons more sort of engaging, really, to be honest. So I'll start with, the inking piece. And I think I often say, digital inking and its impact on thinking is kind of a big thing for me. One quick tip which you might like is if you right click this and set the picture to the background. And then after that, when you move it with your finger, it won't move the picture around, which is quite nice. The other thing I'm going to do when I move, I guess this is another piece of research I often talk about, is Sharon Oviatt's piece on kind of the benefits of multimodal interfaces. But I'm kind of switching pretty naturally, I think anyway, between the mouse on my screen, between touch here, and I guess it's having that at my disposal, which is pretty awesome. Another thing I want to do to bring a little bit more to life is the following. How about we bring in some video in here? So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to go to a polar bear being surprised by a seal. How nice is that? And I'm going to press share on YouTube and I'm going to copy. And then I can do it a ton of different ways. I can right click paste, I can control and V, I can insert online video, I can do a ton of stuff. That's the awesome thing. Remember the part about sharing your system audio? It's a good idea.
She'll have her own young to feed.
This might be a thing you like to do. Take notes in them.
Her brother prefers making snowballs.
There you go. Who doesn't? So again, you might want to take some notes while the video is playing. It's going to be something to do for yourself, during your class, wherever. So we're bringing in, we're making it a little bit more engaging. Now, I did say one thing, which was the following. How about I bring in some text here? So I'm going to Wikipedia for a moment. And I'm copying that. I can right click copy. I can use the shortcut Control and C, which I'd highly recommend you start to use as well. How about I give this a fresh new page? And then I just paste. Again, the whole idea of just pinching and zooming pretty naturally, just for you to see it better on the screen. But I think for anyone, this is a fantastic way to kind of look at the content and engage with it. So if you press View in Immersive Reader, now I'll say one caveat, I'm certainly trying to go slow for sure. I hope I'm not going too fast still, but I'm trying. So again, if you're in Immersive Reader, some of the amazing things about it is you can adjust the text size. Now I want to use, when you say you can, students can also do this. So again, both you and students can do this. The text size can be increased or decreased. Spacing can be increased or decreased depending on kind of what your kind of preference is. You can choose different fonts then again. So whichever suits you best, that's the key. And then here again, Karen had mentioned the supports for students with diverse learner needs, but certainly that contrasting background, so the yellow background contrasting against the black, and even the text with the different colors kind of highlighting the different parts of speech. But this is fantastic support for students with dyslexia. Moving on for a moment onto the syllable support. You've got the ability even to customize, to be honest with you, which is really nice. You might want a little bit more contrast there. So nouns in green. You may want to have verbs in purple. And again, whichever suits you or suits your learners. The other big deal here again is line focus. And I think the key is where these supports are in Edge, in OneNote, across a lot of the different tools in Office 365. They are where you need them to be. Line focus is a fantastic support, and then look, it took me this long to press this button.
The polar bear, Eustace maritimus, is a hypercarnivorous bear whose native range lies.
So an amazing accessibility support here. Take off line focus for a moment and we look towards the picture dictionary, and then let's look towards language support. So maybe for a change, I'm going to pick French France. So if you had a portion of your students who spoke French as their first language, you might want to provide supports, or again, just unlock their potential to support themselves by showing them Immersive Reader. So if they press Ocean,
Océan,
or Arctic,
Arctique, englobant.
So supports there for the words itself. You saw as well the pictures, but even let's go for the whole piece.
https://en.wikipédia. Répartition indigène se trouve en grande partie dans le cercle.
It's a fantastic support and it's very easy to flick between, original and French. But then I love the picture dictionary as well for, again, supporting students with diverse learner needs. So Immersive Reader is there. I think it's a fantastic support, to be very honest with you. let's switch for a moment around bringing maths to life, to be honest, because I think that's what I said I'd do, so that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to pick up my pen. I'm going to do a maths problem. So I'm going to say nothing too complicated. I'm just going to say, well, maybe something a little bit better. So maybe 2x plus 4 equals 12. So 2x equals 12, take away 4. Did you imagine you'd be doing maths right now? I'm not sure. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't, but we're doing it anyway. So we're going to solve this linear equation. So we're going to say that x is equal to 8 over 2 and x equals 4. I think every day is a day for maths. Now, some of the things which are very useful are the following. I say it's always funny. Hopefully I get these right, isn't it, live? But that's the benefit and the power of live. It's the little risky take. I'm going to show you replay. View replay. And then I'm going to draw a selection here. Now, I just think this is amazing. I love using this. So I've used this myself all the time teaching maths, and I love it. Students can use it as well, though, that if I play back some maths or if I write some maths, they can play back the way I wrote it exactly. And then as a teacher, I mean, you can stop, take a pause, take stock of the question and just say, hey, where are we now? What am I doing? What's taking place with that plus 4? You know, you can talk about the journey of the 4 or take 4 from both sides, whichever kind of way you want to show that. But it's amazing, though, again, and I had notes that I had wrote years ago, lessons that were wrote before this feature even came out, and then they were replayable, which I think is amazing. Let's continue to bring maths to life, though. Let's highlight. Let's go draw and maths. Let's look at the options. How about we solve it? And then again, which way would you like it to be solved? Many times you'll have different options. How about I want to just drag that solution in? Nice. This button is here for Immersive Reader. So again, students can use that to support their learning. Great. What else can I do? How about I graph it? I can zoom in to get the X and Y axis the way I want it. Then I can finally just press Insert on Page. I can pinch to zoom out and I can place that where I like it to be. And then again, bringing maths to life. Maybe here I kind of just focus on the, points of intersection. Pretty nice. What else is possible? Well, right now I could insert some audio. This is some audio of me talking about maybe the points of intersection here with this linear equation. Why not? What else could I do? I think often we talk about, the supports that exist, but there's a diverse range of learner needs. So again, let's talk about students that love maths for a moment. Again, that just want to try so many different problems. They might want to use the generate a practice quiz option. Now, if I'm signed in and my internet is holding for this, it'll work. So I'm going to click this generate a practice quiz button. And if not, I'll try it one more. There we go. Yeah, I'm very impatient. So we're going to generate 3 questions. I exited it. It's my own fault. Always be patient. So we're going to go draw maths. We're going to solve and generate. And then we're going to give it a second. And press generate. So in a moment, we're going to have 3 quiz questions in forms in OneNote. I mean, this is like Inception, right? So again, now I'm just going to guess them, okay? Note though for a second that Immersive Reader is here, so that accessibility support is here, and press submit. Generally, when I'm guessing them, usually 1 out of 3 right. 0 this time, not great. So again, what was there for you? Immersive Reader support. If I didn't feel myself personally that I got on well enough, I'm going to go again at it, and I'm going to keep trying and trying and trying. If I want to generate more, I can, or more questions. I think that's a great support there for all levels, really, to be honest with you. Okay, let's jump for a moment, because again, we can't stay on making the maths wonderful with OneNote forever. So I'm going to go back to my presentation for a moment. Can we stay on the maths forever? Hopefully. The next one I'm going to look at is just supports around social emotional learning. We're going to look at 3 of them. We're going to look, and this is like spoiler, we're going to look at praise badges in Teams, we're going to look at reflect in Teams, and then we're going to look at feedback using stickers in OneNote. But before we do that, let's just have a little look at the definition for CEL. So definition provided by the Committee for Children defines CEL as the process of developing the social and emotional skills that are vital for school, work, and life success. And then we want to just have a look at what are these social emotional skills. We're looking at responsible decision making, relationship skills, self-management, social awareness and self-awareness. And then it is the commitment of Microsoft to help, you know, educators and learners develop these skills through the tools that they use, through the resources that are available. So let's have a quick look at some of these right now. I think one of the ones that we can look at, you know, both on the screen right here, right now, and live, provided it all works out perfectly for me, is we're going to have a little look at the praise badge in Teams. So let's look at this right now. So I'm going to go into a team that I have. I am just going to, I'm in a general tab here. So the general channel of a team that I have, and I'm just going to zoom down to the bottom. Now, totally aware that maybe the icons are a bit small for people, but trust me, when I'm in the posts here and I look down, this is one way to do it. There's a little kind of a badgy type thing here. And you press praise. I'm going to send praise to somebody here. And again, I just got to take a moment, be patient and let it load. So I might say, hey, you know what, for being awesome. And I think Alex is in this team here. So if Alex is a student in this team here, I'm going to give Alex a praise badge for being awesome. I hope he is, but let's see. And then again, my internet is certainly a little bit slow today, but I mean, who hasn't experienced that? So I'm going to be patient for a moment, and if it works, it works. And if it does not work, you're going to have to just say, hey, you can try this and it will work. I'll try loading once more. Again, look, this happens, right? So we're going to go awesome again. I'm going to try and load up Alex. If it works, great. If not, I'll just move towards showing you. Long story short here, I guess, because I think my internet's like, no. Give a badge here, praise for being awesome to Alex. I may actually be in a situation where Alex mightn't even be in this team, so that may certainly be the situation. So you know what? I'm going to give another badge here. So 1 second. New. I'll give it one last try. I don't like. We're going to give a badge for optimism. I'm going to give it to Arden, my cooperating teacher. I'm going to say, well, that is thanks for helping with our class. Yeah. All right. Maybe I have a cooperating teacher in here with me, Arden. I said thank you. So I'm going to send praise to Arden for optimism, or for sending praise to a student for doing great work, or just a nice pick me up to really develop, you know, self. So there we go. We got a little praise badge. The other one I'm going to do is just stay here for a moment. So we're going to look at praise badge. Let's have a look at a moment for the reflect update in Teams. So we're going to jump into this here. Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to understand and share your feelings. With Reflect, you can express how you feel through all the emotions you experience, because each emotion matters. Reflecting can help you learn why you feel the way you do and get comfortable managing your emotions. The more we reflect, the more we learn.
Okay, so let's see it in action. So we're going to have a little look here at reflect in Teams. So we're going to just stay down here for a moment. We're going to stay in the, you can stay in the Flipgrid channel. Why not? It's a great place to be. And there's just a little heart here. So press this button here. If we wanted to, we could go to the general, no problem as well. And just, yeah, maybe I'll use this new conversation and the little heart here down at the bottom. If it's difficult to see, I'm just going to say, hey, it's right down there. So press that button. It's going to load up. I can pick, I guess, a variety of different questions. You know, what do you feel about the last assignment? How are you feeling about the material we covered today? Maybe just ask that one. You can set your privacy options. You can set the duration that it stays here. And then let's go for it. Let's press send. So again, that's a nice way for, yeah, a quick check-in to see how everyone's feeling. I think it's nice. So you've seen it demoed, nice. Let's have a look at another one. So we're going to look for a moment to sell stickers in OneNote to give some really nice feedback to students. And you know what, to be honest with you, I'd love to get one of these stickers myself if I did a project. So watch this. Jump into OneNote for a second. Maybe I'm going to go into Alex's assignments. And we're going to go into some work. Now, there we go. So we'll have a look in OneNote. We're looking at Alex's work here. And you know what, to be honest with you, it looks like Alex has done a really great job. So I'm just going to put a nice sticker here. So I'm going to say, insert, stickers. I'm going to say, by inserting a sticker. I'm going to choose the third one, which is the social and emotional sticker pack. And you know what? I'm going to put in persistence because I knew in that moment that Alex was trying very hard. He'd asked me for some help and then he really pushed through. So you might just put in a badge for persistence. What else might you like to do as well? You might like to give some feedback here. So watch this. Alex, you really pushed through on this assignment. That was just super work. Well done. You might want to put in, a very nice well done. And sign it if you like. So that's a very nice way just to, again, some quick tips around SEL. Let's keep moving on because, as I said, the thing that could always happen is I would get caught for time. But I think tip 9 for me really is amplify all voices with Flipgrid. And if you haven't started to use Flipgrid, hopefully from these next 2 slides, it will encourage you to do so. So I'm going to play this lovely video. I couldn't play this enough. I love it personally, but that's me. So let's see.
Hot pepper.
Now, this is where I say, hey, are you revved up from that? I think, to be honest with you, I'm just going to pause it for a second and maybe 1 or 2 things for me that kind of made a big difference, or what Flipgrid is to me. I think certainly in the definition, a simple, free and accessible video discussion, and I just, that word, it's an experience. And again, one of the big words too that isn't here, I took off just so I can kind of underscore it, is community. So it's an experience for all learners, families, educators, everybody that's involved. And again, the key notes about it is it's simple to use. You can start with a topic. You can have nice secured logins. You can, let's say, create a prompt. What is it like to live on Mars? Big button to record a response. You can have a nice little, given a description here, research the atmospheric conditions. I think there's a Wikipedia link here. There's that immersive reader that we talked about earlier. Again, it's in Flipgrid. The key thing that I guess why it resonates with me so much is the following. It gets people active, it gets people engaged. Again, look, inspire learners to perform, to use stickers, to use emojis, to get up and dance so there's actual real energy behind it. Again, look at this, you can use text overlays. You can bring in some cool stickers again, like I talked about. You can record yourself maybe building something, doing something, creating, making. So I think that's cool. The other thing I like about it, which I'll have to describe to you for a moment, is if this was the video that you were recording, there's one ability to have a little whiteboard on the right-hand side so you can, ink, you can annotate while you're talking, while you're explaining a topic. It's pretty cool, to be honest with you. You might want. So I'm going to show you how you get started here. So we've got just a quick little video on getting started. Here we go.
Welcome to Flipgrid. Flipgrid is a simple, free, and accessible video discussion experience for pre-K to PhD educators, learners, and families. In Flipgrid, educators post discussion prompts and learners respond with short videos. To get started, go to flipgrid.com and click Educator Sign Up to create a free Flipgrid account with Microsoft or Google. Once you've signed up, start the discussion by creating your first topic. Your topic can reflect on a chapter of reading, demonstrate an exercise routine, share a hypothesis, anything. I'll make this as simple as share one of your favorite discoveries. Add anything you want your learners to review prior to responding, such as links and videos, to foster enriching inquiry. You can also set the maximum recording time and choose to moderate your topic, meaning video responses will be hidden from your community until you approve them. Your topic is private to your learning community. Add the email domain of your learners, that's everything after the @ symbol in their email, or create a student list for younger learners. Add a guest password if you want to invite families or experts into your discussion. When you're ready, share with your learning community. All they need is this unique code. They can enter the code on the free Flipgrid app or on any computer with a webcam via the Microsoft Edge or Google Chrome browser at flipgrid.com. You can also copy and share this Flipgrid join link wherever you connect with your community, including Microsoft Teams, Google Classroom, and Remind. After clicking the unique link or entering the code, your learners will log in either with their Microsoft or Google account or the ID you created for them. Once in, they can see your prompt, access the text with the powerful Immersive Reader, and when they're ready, click record to add a video with the simple, fun, social media-style Flipgrid camera. Share these steps with your community by sharing the Getting Started Students video.
Okay, so again, I guess that video pretty much kind of captured how to get started and how to work with it. The one other thing I would do, and I guess we're getting close to the end, so this is really just coming off the runway right now, but there's an amazing course on the Microsoft Educator Center called Engage and Amplify with Flipgrid, and it's a great getting started guide, and many of which I'm going to post on Twitter later, just so you have it. But the next key thing really, which is the final tip, which is tip 10, and we're just coming up to time. It's all about learning more at your own pace at a time that suits you. So I would definitely say to make a note of the Microsoft Educator Center. It's an amazing place to be. And then amazing one-pagers like this. If you want to learn more about OneNote, Introduction to OneNote, you've got courses, playlists, guides, support pages. You've got amazing videos from such amazing people and wonderful people like Mike Tholson here as well. You know, amazing YouTube channels. Mike Tholson has a great YouTube channel. Tons of great quick tips, tricks, guides, everything that I think that you would want really, and amazing playlists for OneNote, Teams, and much, much more. So I would say certainly you're going to hear Mike speak shortly, but yeah, an absolute must follow and an amazing person in this space. So look, for me, I think it's just kind of coming towards the end, so I would say thank you. I'll come off share screen. I really hope you enjoyed the presentation, and I think the key, you know, as Karen had said, for our point of view is if you're looking for, you know, advice, guidance, next steps on, you know, devices, digital transformation, etc., just drop an email there to mseduirl@microsoft.com. And with 2 minutes to go, hopefully you enjoyed this presentation and hopefully it had all the tips and more that you wanted. So I'm going to stop sharing screen right now. And there I am. And I'd like to thank everyone for, thank you for attending, and we're coming up to lunchtime, which is great. So Ashley and Wendy, we have options here. Do we give time back? What do we do?
Thanks a million, Stephen. There's one question in the chat there that I think would be really useful if you wouldn't mind answering it. It's just come in there, and then I think we could give people some time back. It's your handwriting is so neat when you're presenting. Are you using a specific tool or device?
Okay, so I'm using OneNote and I'm on my Surface. And to be honest with you, once you kind of put those two together, I found that literally people say handwriting's great. I love it. So yeah, that's it. OneNote on the Surface for me anyway is the, I guess, magic sauce. And practice, right? Isn't that it?
I think practice for me anyway. That's the key. The more you use it, isn't it? Thank you so much, Stephen, and also for sharing in the links to those research papers. Really useful to have. Yeah. Karen, thank you so much. Really useful tips and learning there. It was an absolute pleasure to have you both on with us today. Thank you so much.
We're delighted to be part of an amazing event, FET Fest. It'll be an event that's going to be talked about for a long time to come. I'll be hearing about it until next year, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Yeah.
Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you, everybody. Enjoy your lunch.
Thanks, Karen.